shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God is shining in me now.
Sing that chorus with me.
The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God, shining in me now. The peace of God, in me now.
The peace of God is shining now. This very moment. I'm going to, hold on one second. I'm using my new ear pods or AirPods, I think they call them. Let's see. Hear me okay? Okay, good. So, welcome all of you to the second day of our celebration and revival into this grand experience of awakening. The peace of God is shining in me, in you, in all of us right now, this very moment. It's happening. And now we are aware of this great happening because we are sharing this great happening. We're sharing it here right now in this moment. And it's through the sharing, through the joining in this experience that it comes alive within us. You know, I remember, probably 7 years ago when I first recorded that song. I've always loved that lesson from A Course in Miracles. The peace of God is shining in me now, lesson 188. And so I just felt inspired to record that. And I called up Vicky right away and I said, Vicky, you've got to hear this song. Tell me what you think. Do you think I should do all of them, all 365 songs, just like that? And she said yes. And it was born from just that one song. And I've always loved that one because it is like an actual awakened experience. It's not something that is just mental or intellectual. There's nothing intellectual about singing, saying, sharing. The peace of God is shining in me right now. It really makes no sense on an intellectual level. But when we say those words, when we sing those words, we begin to feel the heat of that shine. It's like lying in a room with the sun shining in through the picture window, and you're just feeling the heat and the warmth of that light. For those of you who are from Namaste, you can actually, I don't know if you can see Gracie sitting next to me here. Gracie used to be our dog. Hi, Gracie. Gracie. Oh, she's sleeping. Anyway, Gracie loves just to bask in the light. If she finds a little spot of sunlight, whether it be inside or outside, she will just lay in that sunlight all day long. And that's what we're called to do in a way. We're called to bask in the light of the divine, the light of God, which is shining in each one of us right now, in this very moment. That's why I love opening with that song, because it it excites the experience. It excites the experience of that light, of that holiness, of that grace within each one of us. And that's why we're doing this celebration and this revival all week, is to excite the experience, to initiate an experience that has no relationship at all to this world. It's something that is so far beyond our intellectual, conceptual world that we'll never understand it intellectually, but we can feel it. And especially when we join together in this feeling, we begin to experience it directly. And that can be the only reason we're here, to experience the truth directly. Or as I like to say, to take that 13-inch journey from here to here. So welcome to all of you to day 2 of our revival. I'm going to join with Vicky and Ted E and David and others here in just a little bit. But I did want to share one more thing before we move forward. And it's something that came to me yesterday, excuse me, that I was practicing yesterday. And it made all the difference. Yesterday, as I was driving through town or walking, what I consciously decided to do was to look at each person directly. Every person I passed, if I was driving and they were just walking down the street, I just looked at them for 2 or 3 seconds. Or if I was walking and I would see them, even in a car, I would look at them and I would say words that we share here almost every day. I would look at them and I would say aloud or think, but mainly I would feel as I looked at them these words: the holy, perfect child of God. The holy, perfect child of God. The holy, perfect child of God, over and over and over again. Now, I want you to notice something. Notice that I didn't say a holy, perfect child of God, as if there's one and there's one and there's one, all different. The words I use are the holy, perfect child of God. When I look at anyone, when I look at all of you, in fact, I'm gonna go to the gallery view for just a moment, and I'm gonna look at all of you, and I'm going to look at Sylvia, and I'm gonna say, the holy, perfect child of God. Or Sue Parsons, you are the holy, perfect child of God. Connie, the same. Gail, all of you. The single holy expression of the single power and love and light of God is within each one of us right now. And when you consciously choose to see that in everyone, or maybe just 100 people a day, maybe that could be our challenge today and all week. I'm going to challenge you with this right now. I want you today, especially, just begin with one day. See if you can do this 100 times. If you're driving, walking, whatever it is you're doing, just look at the people you see. This is the gift, just the people that you see walking by or driving by. Just look at them and say in your mind, or even out loud if you're in your car, the holy, perfect child of God. That's the one right now. The one I am looking at is the holy, perfect child of God. And feel that and know that, because it's true. It really is true. This is, whoever it is you're looking at, the holy, perfect child of God, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of God's love. And your willingness to see that and to give that gift to others will be your willingness to also receive it. Because what you're going to find is every time you do that, something begins to build inside you. A light begins to get brighter and brighter until it overwhelms your senses, and you feel yourself in this direct experience that we talk about every day. And then just go with that. Allow that to continue to expand and take over everything. This is the goal. And it comes by the simple act of looking at everyone that you go past, everyone you see, everyone you watch driving down the street, looking at them and just saying and feeling, you are the holy, perfect child of God, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of God's love. And here are my 3 favorite words: no matter what. It doesn't matter who they are, even what they're doing. It could be a homeless person, it could be a drug addict, it could be a rich businessman, it could be a mother pushing a baby down the street. None of that matters. It does not change or influence at all the fact that each one of them is the holy, perfect child of God. And all that's required is my willingness to see that. So I'm going to challenge each one of you this week just 100 times a day. If you did it 10 times in the next 2 minutes, you're a tenth of the way there. 50 times in 5 minutes, and you're almost there. If you need to, maybe just get in your car and drive around. If you're still concerned about COVID, you'll be fine in your car. Just drive around and look at the people that you pass, and you're going to feel this experience begin to explode inside you. That being said, I know one who the experience explodes inside every day, and that's our dear sister Vicky. So we're going to turn to her to begin and hear what she has to say about this beautiful experiment and this wonderful revival that we're sharing.
Well, Jimmy, you know I'm all in on that. But before I say anything, I bet you don't realize Lisa's in the room. Let's,
I was gonna check. So
yeah, she's here.
why
Want to
don't
give it to her?
why don't you go ahead and start, and then we'll,
All
we'll
right.
do we'll do you, Teddy, and then we'll go to Lisa.
All right. So I love this because this is a Course in Miracles centering prayer, blessing. That's all we do. The only how you say I believe in God, I don't believe in God, I believe in only God.
Yes.
This is the same practice. I don't want anything else in my mind. Only the blessing of my brother. Only that, because the light busts up the illusion. It busts the appearances. It busts it so it's like an explosion where whoosh, it's gone. And then eternity, love, and fullness, and buoyancy, and spaciousness spring into our experience. But it isn't just the heart. For me, I see the mind has to be. That's why Jesus said the course is a course in mind training. The mind has to be on board. Otherwise, it's wandering into fields of separation. It's just wandering away. And there are no loose thoughts. Every one of them takes form because it's the power of our divinity that gives that thinking mind the right to make up pretend things, pretend worlds, pretend separation. So if we can hold our mind accountable to only fill it with a true thought, a blessing, a recognition of divinity in ourselves, in everything, in every brother, only that, not lose it, not lose it at all. That's what the calling is that busts every illusion we hold. And it is what the healing is. That's what a healed mind is here in time. A healed being, body, mind, and soul. Everything's on board. Only one thing is happening. Only the blessing of the sonship, of our wholeness, wherever it's showing up. And have the courage to have only that thought when a problem comes up. That's the most important time, not just when a brother walks by us, but particularly when a health problem, a relationship problem, job problem, whatever it is, let the light of our blessing bust up the problem, because there are no problems. The appearance of what seems to be problems are just make believe. So if we have the courage to, and that's the harder part, to stay with not letting our mind wander into thinking and solving and fixing, but welcoming. I see you, I welcome you, I rejoice, I love you, come on in. I'm going to look at everything, because there's nothing that covers the light of God in myself or in my brother if that's what my focus is. And that spark is brighter than any set of circumstances. So I take your challenge, and I want it to be the only place I live. So I'm going to take it and let it be one day at a time, because it does require a focus, like it requires attention, my attention. But the truth is, I find that as it requires my attention, it becomes an abiding state that's not so full of effort. In fact, that's another day's discussion. It comes into effortless grace.
Yeah.
But we have to do a little bit of attention to that, to let that state of abiding grace. It's like, it's like you flap your wings and you're ready to go, and all of a sudden now you can glide. So only a thought of blessing. Oh, I do have, this
Amen.
is what I read this morning. Here's one sentence that I think you'll like. This is in the text. In your mind, you can accept the whole sonship and bless it with the light your Father gave it. Then will you be worthy to dwell in the temple with him, because now it is your will not to be alone. God blessed his Son forever. If you will bless him in time, you will be in eternity. Time cannot separate you from God if you use it on behalf of the eternal. Chapter 10, Course in
Mm,
Miracles. Amen.
I love it. And I especially love, Vicky, how you said to turn that light back onto yourself whenever you're feeling any sort of challenge. Let that be the go-to. Just wrap your arms around yourself and remind yourself the peace of God is shining in me now. There's nothing that can touch me, nothing that can interrupt this, nothing that can change the truth of who I am. And whether you're choosing to see it out here or choosing to see it in here, it's ultimately the exact same thing, exact same prayer. So,
No
Teddy,
exception, no matter what.
no matter what, my three favorite words. Teddy, what do you think about this?
Well, I was thinking when on Thursdays. So Thursdays we go to the nuns.
Yeah.
On Thursdays we take vegetables to the nuns, and we have to go through sort of like the worst part of Boston. And there's street people all over the place. The Salvation Army's there. It's just loaded with street people. And I'm not sure if Vicky remembers, but most of the time when we pass, it's like it's craziness there. And there's people living in tents and on the sidewalk. And we've passed a number of times. And the recognition is always, well, they're perfect and whole as God created them. It doesn't matter what it looks like. That's just the way it is. It's an unalterable fact. Um, and I think one of the benefits of having, we talk about experience here a lot. One of the benefits of having a total experience is the totality of the experience and the all-inclusive nature of it renders your mind incapable of forgetting it. And what happens is it's the use of the forgetting that helps you remember. So you're never really out of that state in your mind anymore. I guess the course calls it a present memory.
Yeah.
There's a present memory that we have because it's total, it's whole, and it's perfect. And what isn't total, whole, and perfect, once the experience comes, you recognize it's just not true, not real, or illusion, however you want to talk about it. So there is a point at which it doesn't require thought. It's just who we know we are. It's unalterable, and like I keep thinking of the story of Bill Thetford, where his presence just elevated people into a remembering. And it wasn't because he was teaching anything. It's just because that's who he was in his own mind. And the certainty of the fact that if I am that, all my brothers are that with me because we're one. And the vibratory frequency of energy that you then carry with you doesn't require conscious thought. It's just the state that you are in because who you were created as. So, it's just interesting. And like the most we can do, I don't know who has had the experience and who's not had that experience. The most we can do is increase the desire for that to occur.
Yes.
And the increase of the desire also brings about the frustration of not having the experience. And in that gap, that's where it occurs. And once it occurs, you're changed. You're not changed. Your thoughts about yourself are changed, but you remain perfect and whole as you were created. But now it's in your present memory.
Amen. Wow. Thank you, Teddy. Thank you, Vicky. This is so exciting. And, I looked out and I saw that not only Lisa Natoli is here, but also Bill Free. So
Oh,
let's
all right.
start. Let's start with Lisa, and then we're going to go to Bill, and then I'm going to go over to David over there at Namaste. So good morning, Lisa.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, I was actually thinking a story that happened in 2010. I had just moved back from Wisconsin to New Hampshire, which is near Boston, which is near Teddy and Vicky. And I was convinced Teddy hated me. I don't think I was making it up. And I was terrified. And Claire Diane was Vicky's best friend. And she was calling me like every other day going, you got to drive to Boston and you got to meet Vicky. You two will love each other. You got to go. And I was like, no fucking way. I'm not going to be around Teddy. And she kept calling me. She kept saying, you got to go meet Vic. I'm telling you, you guys got to meet. And finally I decided, okay, I got to just do it, even though I'm terrified and afraid. And Teddy, you gave me your bedroom that night. Yeah, I got down there, and the first thing was like, that was where I was going to sleep. You'd cleaned out your bedroom. And I'm telling this story because of the simplicity of really just these simple little acts. And the next morning I woke up, it was 6 a.m. I came downstairs, only you were in the kitchen, Teddy. And you went, do you want a cup of coffee? Want some pancakes? I'll make you some pancakes. Want some blueberries in them? And I've always remembered that, because it's literally, we don't have to have these big conversations. Like, we can just let the past go. And my friend Max told me about this other guy, Suzuki, who said if you're having a difficulty with a brother, you just say cup of tea. And Bill and I used that for years. We almost got divorced, and we used that. We would be in the worst fights ever, and one of us would remember cup of tea, and that's all we would do. We used that so many times, cup of tea, and we both would start laughing, or like, that was sort of the ground of like, okay. So I love this idea of just these practical things of really just offering, just this union of oneness. So thank you, Teddy. Vicky, Claire was right. That was like totally the best thing for me to come down there. And thank you, Jimmy.
hmm Cup of tea. I love that.
Cup of
So
tea?
simple. It breaks the spell.
Yeah.
And that's all we're doing here. Whether we're saying cup of tea or the peace of God is shining in me now, we're breaking the spell so that we can see what's really there. So, Bill,
Okay, go
oh,
ahead.
do you want to say
I just
something,
want to
Teddy?
say, you guys know Amazing. Well, Amazing married a friend of ours, Cindy Pascoe, who's from Australia. They live in Australia. And I was convinced Cindy hated me. They came to California, and Amazing wanted to come and visit. And I said, yeah, come anytime. But I know Cindy won't come because she hates me. And Bill and Amazing said, she thinks you hate her. And it was this moment in time where we both realized that nothing had happened that we thought had caused each other to hate each other. But
That's
the
a whole
other,
teaching right there. Nothing ever happened. It's all
but
in our minds.
the other thing I was going to say is people who think I hate them shouldn't feel special because I hate the world, actually. So,
Well, there you go. So, Bill Free, so good to have you here this morning. I know you've been busy reconstructing your new home, but we would love to hear you share as well.
Oh, thank you, man. Wow, I love coming into that song. The peace of God is shining in me now. I remember when you recording those songs in the bungalow behind Vicky's house, and you were sharing with me how you were doing it all, and then we went somewhere with Vic, and you and I are walking down the sidewalk, singing that singing that one line, the peace of God shining in me now. And we're just walking down and it's so refreshing to share the music of that statement. And I would actually change the lyrics, if you don't mind changing just one word. The peace of God is shining as me right now and in every moment. It's shining as me because you are the peace of God. You are the presence of God. You are the I am essence of God incarnate in that bodysuit that has your name on it. And you can sing that. You don't even have to use words. You don't have to bring it out of your mouth. You can sing it in the steps that you take. You can, and just like you were using that phrase that you are Christ, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of God's love. You can have that thought and see that in everything. You don't have to use words, lyrics, anything, because you are the light that shines forever. You are this light and this presence. And when I came onto the Zoom call today and you're basking in the sound of that, of what that statement means, I instantly went into the light with you as the statement says. And of course, I changed the one word from in to as. The peace of God is shining as me right now in this moment. And that first line of that workbook lesson, 188, why wait for heaven?
Wait for heaven.
Why wait for? There's no reason to wait for heaven. You only need to give your attention to that idea and you're there in this holy instant. I love you, Jimmy. I love you like crazy, man. And I love you, Vic and Teddy and Lisa and all the beings that are here. You are the peace of God. You're not in the peace of God. You're shining as the peace of God. Actually, you're in and as at the same time, just like the current is in the ocean. There's no separation in what you are, what I am is. Thank you for putting this together. It's an inspiration for my heart. I really needed this. This is like it's lifting me up into the presence of I am, even as we talk about it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Bill. And I love that change. The peace of God is shining as me now. Wow.
Yes.
Whatever it takes to initiate that feeling that this is true right now. And I'm also glad that you brought up the first line of that lesson in A Course in Miracles. Why wait for heaven? And then you are merely closing your eyes. In other words, you've made a choice. You've literally made a choice to not see the only thing that can be seen, which is heaven. And the only teaching we need is it's time. Open up your eyes. See what has always been there. See who you have always been. See who has always been next to you. It is the Christ. It is heaven. There's nothing but that. Whatever words you want to use to describe that. But it's true here in this moment right now.
Yeah.
So thank you, Bill. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Teddy and
Love you
Vicky.
all. Mwah.
We're going to go to David now, and then we're going to go to Calico because I see Calico has her hand. But good morning, David, back in Namaste, holding the space there. How are you today?
Good morning. Oh, what a treat to be with you, to be with everyone. And James, I love your challenge. 100 people seeing these beautiful, holy, perfect children of God. And it occurred to me, now to get to 100, that's a lot of people. And I thought, wait a minute, how am I going to do that? And then I realized I don't need to move at all. That we can go to all these people that are on our heart.
Mm-hmm.
Our children, our grandchildren, our friends, the people that we get to see on these virtual experiences where we come together from all over the world just to smile at each other for a moment. We can take and look at each one and know the holy, perfect child of God. What an amazing thing. And when we do that, when we say, okay, I want to know that. And it's given. You can't hold those words and not look at these amazing beings and go, wow, it's true. I'm so grateful. So 100, yeah, let's do it. What fun.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up, David, because even if you're not going anywhere today, you can think of all the people in your life, whoever comes into your mind. You can turn on the TV, you can watch the news. Imagine that. Put on CNN.com, or if you're really brave, put on Fox News and look at all of them and say, the peace of God is shining in and as you right now. And really mean it. These aren't just words, this is the truth. And if we embrace it like it's the truth and really let it dive and go deep into our heart, that's where that transformation and dissolving will take place, because this is all about dissolving all of those erroneous ideas that the peace of God could be anywhere other than right here, right now. So, whatever it takes today, whether you're just thinking about people, going out and looking directly at people, see if you can meet this challenge this week of every day, 100 people. I promise you that it's going to change everything. So, good morning, Calico. Lovely to see you in your room there at Namaste.
Mwah, to you and everybody else here. It was Vicky, that piece that you read from the text. It was so perfect for where I am right now. There was a question that came to me. How do I know it's God's guidance? And so I've been just sitting with that question and really playing with it. And the reality is it's all based on either I'm in time or I'm in eternal. And God's guidance is always eternal. It's not based on time. It can't be, because God knows nothing of time. So it's like anytime we're getting guidance, if it's based in temporal time, it's probably ego trying to stick his little nose in there somewhere. It's basically all the guidance I have gotten is to how to better love somebody or how to better love something. And that's not based on, well, tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. No, it's right now. This is how I can do it right now. So I just had to say that. Thank you so much, Vicki, for reading that. It's like, I mean, it's all in there. It's all in there. And it's just love, just love, just love.
Love, love, love. Keep it simple. I love it. Thank you, Calico. That was a beautiful message. And I see Leslie has her hand up. Go ahead, Leslie.
Oh, thank you so much. One day, many years ago, before I experienced the course, I was driving. I was at an intersection waiting for the light to turn green. And I was feeling in that God place, although I didn't define it all. And a guy walked in front of my car to go to the sidewalk, and he stopped, and he and I locked eyes, and he raised both of his hands, and I could tell he was in the same place. The light in me recognized the light in him, and the light in him recognized the light in me. And we just had this little dance, him in front of the car with his arms up and smiling, and me in my car doing the same thing. And I will never forget it. It was such a beautiful experience. And it just fits in perfectly with this whole morning. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, thank you. The light in one sees and knows the light in all. That's the key. You will see only the light when you practice this. That's why it's so powerful. Most importantly, you will know that same light within yourself, and then it will begin to gush like Niagara Falls. You'll just unleash so much reserve that you've been holding back. You've been holding back for so long. But when you begin to practice just choosing to see the peace of God that's shining everywhere in everyone, it begins to open, and this wellspring of grace begins to flow free from you. And by the way, for those of you, a lot of people here talk about A Course in Miracles, but we recognize that not everyone here is a student of A Course in Miracles, and that's fine. Be a student of love. Be a student of seeing only love everywhere. That's all A Course in Miracles is, and that's all any true spiritual path is. Choose to see the love that is always present in every moment. If you can just do that, you don't need any books, you don't need a teacher, you don't need anything. That's all you need, is to choose to see love. So, we're about out of time, but let's see if there's anyone who would like to lay anything on the altar. If there's